searching for single volumes that had become really hard to find. It took time, but eventually I collected all 15 volumes of the original German edition. What I've always loved about D.N.Angel is the mix of mystery, magic, and romance, and something else that felt really special. It's a magical boy story. Those are so rare. I mean, we all know at least one magical girl series, like Sailor Moon. But D.N.Angel was the first and only true magical boy manga I know. Don't get me wrong, stories with the magical boy trope exist, but they're often part of a magical girl series, like Chiaki in Kamikaze Kaito-chan, which I also absolutely adore, by the way, or as a genre parody. That's why D.N.Angel stands out. It plays the tropes honestly, without parody, but from a boy's point of view. For many years, the story was incomplete. The manga was on pause, and for the longest time, I wasn't sure if we would ever get the real ending. But then in 2021, something amazing happened. The author finally finished the story with volume 20. After that, a new 2-in-1 edition started coming out in German, and currently 8 of the 10 planned volumes are available. Because we are finally getting to the new part of the story, it inspired me to start the series fresh again, and in this video I'd like to revisit the very first volume together. So in today's video I'll gently guide you through the chapters of volume 1, and afterwards I'll share my personal impression with you 20 years after its original release. Does it still hold up, or is it just nostalgia clouding my view? So get comfortable, maybe grab a warm drink, and let's revisit the world of D.N.Angel together. For those of you who don't know the manga yet, I start by reading the official summary before diving into the chapter breakdowns. So if you're curious and thinking about picking up the first volume spoiler-free, feel free to skip ahead to my final thoughts after the summary. Heart of Darkness. Daisuke Niwa is an ordinary middle school student with an extraordinary genetic condition. Whenever he starts longing for the girl of his dreams, he transforms into the legendary phantom thief Dark. The only way to lift the curse, to have his love returned, of course. But now can Daisuke win the heart at a girl he can't even romance? So that was the summary. Next I will be diving into the individual chapters. If you'd like to avoid spoilers, Daisuke turns 14, and little does he know this birthday marks the beginning of a family legacy. As he starts thinking about Risa again, something strange happens. He transforms into Dark, the very same legendary phantom thief whose heist had been mysteriously announced earlier that day. His mother and grandfather greet him, not with shock but with excitement. It turns out Daisuke has inherited the family secret, the power to become dark, a transformation triggered by strong feelings of love. From now on, whenever he experiences intense romantic emotion, the change will happen. And tonight he has a job to do. Dark takes flight with the help of his adorable companion, a winged creature named Whis, and heads towards the museum where the target is displayed, a statue known as Saint of Tears. The police are already there, having received a warning, but Dark swoops in gracefully, stealing the statue. Just as he escapes, he's spotted by Iwatari, who, as it turns out, is secretly working to capture him. Dark uses a clever trick to get away, but during his getaway, he passes by Riku's bedroom window, only for her to call him a pervert for spying. Oddly enough, Dark is completely enchanted by her. The moment leaves a deep impression. Back at home, Daisuke transforms back to himself, and his family explains everything. The transformation is caused by love hormones, and as long as Risa doesn't return his feelings, he will keep turning into Dark. If she does fall in love with him, the curse will be broken and Daisuke will never have to transform again. The next day at school, all the girls are completely obsessed with Dark and the daring heist he pulled off the night before. They gushing about how cool and handsome he is, leaving the boys in class frustrated and jealous. Before gym class, Daisuke accidentally enters the wrong locker room, the girls' changing room, and at the sight of them changing, including Risa, he transforms into Dark once again. Thankfully, Dark manages to hide quickly before anyone notices, but just as things get tense, he hears Riko's voice, and because Dark has started to develop feelings for her, the transformation is reversed and Daisuke returns to normal. That evening, Dark heads out for another heist, and this time everything goes smoothly. No close calls, no police interference. Later, Dark tries to tempt Daisuke into staying in his form. He playfully mocks him, pointing out how Risa and the other girls are all swooning over Dark's looks, and hints that maybe deep down Daisuke has always wished to be someone cooler and more confident. But suddenly a photo of Riku appears, and the moment Dark sees it, his emotions shift and the transformation begins to reverse, grounding Daisuke back in his true self. The next day, during swim class, Daisuke tries his best to keep his distance from Risa. The last thing he wants is to transform in front of the entire class. But of course, fate has other plans. When they accidentally collide ends up having to dive in and rescue the unresponsive Daisuke from the pool, thinking it's serious. He even tries to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Meanwhile, Riku spots someone peeking out from behind a hedge, the same creep she caught before. It's dark again. She screams and Iwatari turns just in time to see that the body he was trying to resuscitate has vanished. All that's left behind is a little unconscious bunny, Whis. Later, during Dark's next heist, he gets caught by Iwatari just before he escapes. Iwatari asks him, "Are you the one who can swim?" Daisuke is shaking. It's clear Iwatari is starting to suspect the truth. He hides in a nearby dark room to calm down. But of course, it turns out to be Riku's bedroom. When she sees him, she screams in a panic. Dark kisses her just to keep her quiet. But the moment catches him off guard. And right in front of Riku's eyes, he transforms back into Daisuke. Red-faced and flustered, Daisuke runs away as fast as he can. The next morning, Riku approaches him and says he left something at her house. She holds out the stolen treasure from the night before. Daisuke denies everything, absolutely mortified. Riku pauses, unsure now. Maybe it was too dark last night to see clearly after all. In the next chapter, Daisuke's class goes on a winter hiking trip through the snowy mountains. During the excursion, Risa loses her head. It flies off and lands near the edge of a cliff. Riku tries to retrieve it, but she slips on the icy path and tumbles down the slope. Daisuke reacts immediately and rushes to help. He managed to grab her, but the two of them end up sliding down the hill together. At the bottom, Riku realizes she's twisted her ankle, so like the sweet guy he is, Daisuke offers her a piggyback ride. As they walk through the snow-covered woods, Riku quietly drifts off into thought. She starts realizing that she really likes Daisuke. When their eyes met, the moment feels almost magical, but not in a good way for Daisuke. He can feel the transformation coming, totally confused. He bolts, wondering why on earth he's changing into Dark because of Riku, not of Risa. Whis steps in and takes Daisuke's place temporarily, staying by Riku's side. But Riku starts noticing that Daisuke is unusually quiet. Meanwhile, back at the group, Iwatari grows concerned that the two are still missing. But the way he comments on it, it sounds like he knows something. By now, it's clear he has more than just a hunch about Daisuke and Dark being connected. In the end, the two return to the group safe and sound, and no one suspects a thing. Well, almost no one. As the day winds down, Dark makes a mysterious comment that he and Daisuke are rivals. Quite a cryptic note to end on. laughs and adds that he's still far too small to be him, and then she tells him the truth. She only invited him because she didn't want to be alone. She came hoping to see Doug again, knowing he had announced another heist today. Daisuke gently tries to explain that Doug won't be coming tonight. He tells her it's because he is here instead and quietly points to the time, showing her that the moment Doug was supposed to appear has already passed. But Risa refused to believe it. She holds on to her hope until her voice trembles and tears begin to well in her eyes. Moved by the sight, something stirs inside Daisuke. That familiar feeling rises again, just out of sight behind a nearby bush. He transforms into Dark, just wants to make her smile again, to stop her tears, even if it means to be not himself at the moment. So, he steps out quietly from behind her as Dark and softly says he's the one she's been waiting for, and that's why he came. But as she turns to face him, he realizes something's wrong. He's still wearing Daisuke's clothes. Panic sets in, and before he can figure out what to do, she's already looking straight at him. She stares for a second, then quietly says that he can fool her, because no matter what, he's still just too small to be Dark. Daisuke looks down and sees he's already changed back. The next days, Whis practices how to speak while transformed into Daisuke. His pronunciation is still a little off. Instead of Daisuke, he keeps saying Daisuke, a sweet little mistake that unintentionally means I love you in Japanese, a slip that's both endearing and slightly embarrassing. At school, Risa surprises Daisuke with a homemade bento. He's touched by the gesture, even though the food isn't exactly delicious. Still, he smiles and tells her it tastes great. Deep down, he wonders what her intentions are. But when a classmate tries a bite and confirms how awful it really is, Risa admits the bento wasn't actually for Daisuke. She made it as a test run for something she wants to give Dark. She then asks Daisuke once again to come with her to meet Dark, but this time Daisuke refuses. His feelings for her are getting too complicated, and the idea of standing next to her while she waits for his other self is just too painful. Risa doesn't understand, and in her frustration she runs off. Meanwhile, Riku watches from afar. She sees the closeness between Daisuke and her sister and tries to brush off the jealousy building inside her, but it's no use. She can't deny it anymore. She's falling for Daisuke. Not long after, Iwatari approaches Daisuke with something strange to ask. Calm and composed as always, he tells Daisuke about a bet he made with Dark. If Dark can steal the next painting, he has to leave him alone. But when Daisuke looks at him confused, Iwatari just smirks, pressing him gently but firmly against the wall, and returns the question, "Who do you think he meant?" Before Daisuke can answer, his mom suddenly interrupts, dragging him away with a warning to stay away from Iwatari. That evening, Riku gathers the courage to ask Risa what she really feels for Daisuke. Risa is quiet for a moment, then admits she thought they were just friends. But now it feels like maybe they are not even that. Riku encourages her to Daisuke tries to approach her, but with his broken pronunciation, he only confuses her by saying Daisuke again. Riko misunderstands the situation completely and storms off in anger. Back home, Daisuke is devastated. Dark kissed Risa, the pain is too much, and in a moment of frustration, he vows never to transform again. The next day, Daisuke feels uncertain. He doesn't know how to face Risa, but as soon as she sees him, she turns and runs the other way. Later that day, Daisuke runs into Iwatari. There's a quiet tension in the air. Hesitating, Daisuke asks, almost in a whisper, if it's really me. You wouldn't try to catch me, would you? Iwatari simply smiles and replies with a question of his own. Who would I be catching? Sand White's Day, a festival where people give white ribbons to express their feelings for someone special. Daisuke is on the planning committee, so his morning is hectic. He didn't have time to get Risa a gift, but just before he rushes out the door, his mother slips him a white ribbon. She's clearly rooting for him, practically glowing with hope that he will finally win his crush's heart. In school, the preparations are in full swing, but in the flurry of activity, Daisuke accidentally drops the ribbon. Iwatari spots it on the floor and quietly picks it up. Later, Daisuke finds Risa on the stairs. He approaches her, ready to give her the ribbon, his heart fluttering, but before he realizes it's missing, Risa speaks first. She gently tells him she can't return his feelings because her heart belongs to Dark. Stunned, Daisuke is left alone on the stairs, the weight of rejection sinking in. Inside, something shifts. He realizes Dark has stolen the one thing that meant the most to him, Risa's heart. He remembers the moment when Dark offered to become him completely, to live as Dark. If that meant Risa would fall for him, that thought bubbles back up now, and suddenly Daisuke transforms. But something's off. Though Dark now controls his body, he still looks exactly like Daisuke. Dark, of course, is thrilled. A new face, a new chance, and no need to hide in the shadows. In broad daylight, he plans a new kind of heist. He will steal the hearts of every girl, and maybe a few teachers too, just for fun. He starts with a classmate of Risa's, boldly confessing his love, but she only giggles and runs off, blushing, saying everyone knows Daisuke likes Risa. Next, he flirts with a teacher. Meanwhile, poor Daisuke is still inside, seeing everything unfold, helpless, humiliated, and furious. He begs Dark to stop, to change back, but Dark is having far too much fun. Then he bumps into Iwatari in the hallway. Iwatari immediately sees through the disguise. Of course he knows it's Dark, but remembering their deal to leave Daisuke alone, he lets him pass with a knowing glance. Elsewhere, Riko finds herself in an uncomfortable situation. A classmate pulls her aside and confesses his feelings, but Riko snaps at him. She doesn't like him at all when he pushes her further, insisting he always caught her looking his way. She's silent. She had been, but only because he sat next to Daisuke. He becomes aggressive. Riko panics. The door is locked, but just in time, the door bursts open. Daisuke, or rather Dark in Daisuke's form, tears and pulls her to safety. In the quiet that follows, Dark offers Riku's white tie a stand-in for the traditional white ribbon, a soft, sincere gesture, one that brings a blush to her cheeks. As they sit together, something tender sparks between them. Daisuke, still inside, starts to wonder which feelings are truly his, which words belong to him, and which are Dark's. Because he's not Dark, he's Daisuke. Just as their lips are about to meet, he bolts, runs out of the room, heart racing. Riku calls after him, confused and breathless. He runs past Risa and the hallway doesn't even stop. When Riku finally steps out, Risa is standing there stunned. The look on her face says everything, and without a word she turns and runs too. Her thoughts are a whirlwind. Why does it bother her so much to see Daisuke with someone else? Didn't she already turn him down? Just then, Dark appears in front of her. She throws herself into his arms, crying, begging him not to leave her ever again. But this time, he says nothing. He doesn't move, because he can't hear Daisuke anymore. After a long absence, Daisuke's father finally returns home. He's startled by how different his son looks, so much older now and strangely cold. Daisuke's mother only sighs and says the other one is more friendlier. Dark replies flatly, the other one, Daisuke, is gone. He doesn't respond anymore. This body belongs to him now. Without a word, Daisuke's father slips a ring onto his finger. Instantly, Dark's form begins to shift and Daisuke's original appearance returns. The father explains softly that the ring is only temporary, a stabilizer, but the real conflict has to be resolved from within. If Dark doesn't bring Daisuke back within 24 hours, the body won't be able to hold together. Later, in a quiet moment, Dark looks inward. He calls out to Daisuke, asks him not to disappear, to please not run away, but there's no answer. The next day at school, Daisuke seems distant, quiet, almost hollow. Dark feels nothing, not even a flicker of that familiar thrill, and not from Riku, not from Risa. And that's when he understands he needs Daisuke. He remembers their very first transformation, that rush of energy, the heartbeat racing in sync, but now everything is still. Suddenly he collapses. Iwatari rushes to his side and carries him to the nurse's office. He's burning up with a fever. Riku hears about it and worried sick. Tells the teacher she has a stomach ache just to be excused. The teacher hesitates, but Risa quietly backs her up. When Riku reaches the nurse's office, she finds Iwatari sitting by the bed. He mumbles, "We are almost out of time." Then noticing her in the doorway, he stands and walks away. Riku blinks at him, puzzled. What's going on between Iwatari and Daisuke? She quietly takes the seat by his bed, and she gently presses a hand on his forehead. She exhales in relief. The fever's gone down. Meanwhile, inside, Dark is still trying to reach him. He speaks to Daisuke calmly just because he loved Risa first. Doesn't mean he isn't allowed to fall in love with Riku. Their feelings are shared because Dark is Daisuke and Daisuke is Dark. In the space between them, the two finally meet and embrace. several years since I last read D.N.Angel, and this was actually my very first time diving into the new edition. Of course, I already knew the general plot, but experiencing the story again in full detail really swept me away. The pacing is light and breezy, moving forward quite quickly. At times, maybe even a little too quickly. While summarizing, I occasionally had trouble understanding exactly what had just happened on the first read-through. But the chapters are structured in a way that often revisits key moments, for example, through internal monologue, so I don't think this would be an issue for casual reading. This is without a doubt a romance manga. The art is soft and flowery, with a strong focus on emotions. The action scenes, especially in the beginning, are kept very short and don't take center stage. Overall, the story has a very innocent feel to it, which likely ties into the fact that it's aimed at a younger audience. Of course, adults can enjoy it too. I certainly did, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't occasionally feel just a little bit out of place. As with many manga, most of the main and supporting characters are quite young, middle school students to be specific, and that sometimes feels a little unrealistic, like how the 14-year-olds are casually out and about in the middle of the night, or even helping with things like art heists without their parents batting an eye. Still, the emotional ups and downs, the crushes, the fluttery feelings, those aspects feel very real and true to the teenage experience. When you're that age, everything is so intense and dramatic.